I hope you enjoyed your food and we're prepared for the second part of interesting whiskies. No more words at this point from my side. You have to tell more interesting things, Joe. To you. Enjoy.
Welcome back to part 2 of this fantastic Glenfarclas tasting. It was, of course, great to speak to some of you, especially certain people, you know, the bloggers of the world that told me they were leaving for the second half because there was a really good springbank tasting happening across the road. I tried to go with them, but he wouldn't invite me.
So I'm leaving now.
We now have 3 very, very different whiskies than what we've had at the beginning. These ones are getting a little bit older. These ones are getting a little bit stronger. These ones are all at cask strength. Yes, 2 of them are fairly low cask strength, but they are at cask strength. In our warehouse at Glenfarclas, we typically lose 2% a year evaporation per year. But we also lose about 0.3 or 0.4% alcohol per year as well. But it's not an exact science. Sometimes in a cask, we will retain all the volume, but we'll lose a huge amount of strength. Other times we will lose a huge amount of strength and also lose a huge amount of volume. The balance isn't always there. These casks we're about to have are at cask strength. Yes, the next one we're about to have is at 43.6% alcohol. That is the cask strength that it actually came out of the bottle. We've not added any water to it. It's not been diluted at all. So it is retaining so much of those raw flavours from the very beginning. Now, obviously you've had 3 whiskies to begin with, or 4 whiskies to begin with, or some of you may have had an awful lot more whiskey to begin with. Do you have any questions at the moment about the first 3 whiskies? Now that you've had a little bit of time to think about things, you feel a little bit more confident. So I'm still awesome then. The next whiskey you're going to have is a family cask bottle. What are the family casks? The family casks came about 10 years ago. In 2007 was the first year we actually released the family casks. Initially the plan was we were going to do 10 family casks to set them off. So when you do actually look back at the dates of the first release of family casks, 10 of them have got different dates to everything else. But the plan was initially to do 10 family casks a year for 5 years, and then we would have 50 years of family casks available. We then decided that this one wasn't going to work, so we actually decided to launch them all at exactly the same time. So initially we did 43 family casks. We did 1952 to 1994. And I'm sure all of you at some point in your life have made some pretty stupid mistakes. Some of you make mistakes every 10 minutes. The one thing that I do regret most, and to be fair, I think it's something Manfred will probably regret most. I'm pretty sure it's what Peter regrets most. When we first did the family cask range, you could buy it as a wholesaler or as a retailer. You could basically buy the whole set for £8,000. £8,000 could have bought you 43 bottles of family casks when they first came out. You cannot even buy a bottle of 1952 now for £8,000. That is one of my biggest regrets. So to buy a complete set of original family cask now, you're going to be looking at about £100,000. If you want to buy a complete set today of current bottles, which only runs from 54 until today, I think it's about 2002, you'll be looking at about £80,000. People asked me 10, 15 years ago, do you believe in investing in whiskey? And I always said to people, no.
Wrong answer again.
Second mistake.
You said your father was great.
Yeah. What an idiot I was. This stuff's gone up more than gold. It's gone up more than oil. It's gone up more than property in 10 years. In 10 years. The rise has been absolutely incredible. Family cask, we are starting to run out. When we first brought out the family cask in 2007, I had such faith in the family casks. When we first launched them, I didn't even go to the launch. I didn't believe that it would be such a success. I did not believe that people would want to buy and collect whiskey from different vintages. But you do. And people want to buy the whiskey from the year they were born. People want to buy the whiskey from the year their children were born. People want to buy the whiskey the year they got married. People want to buy more whiskey from the year they got divorced. There's so many special years that appeal to people that's really quite incredible. The family cask to date, I think we've done about 400 different family casks up until now. Our biggest selling family cask by a long way is 1979 bizarrely. If any of you have ever tried it, it is probably the lightest Glenfarclas you ever see, and certainly the taste profile is very, very different. But it is our biggest selling family cask, probably for that particular reason. The whiskey you're about to have is from 1989. We were talking about casks from 88 and 89 earlier. Why are they so good? We changed our cask supplier in the tail end of 88 and for the whole year of 89. That's when we started dealing with Jose Miguel Martin in Spain, and they have been our cask supplier ever since. And the casks that we do get from them are really, really fantastic. We're getting much more consistent availability from them, and we're also able to get some very, very, very good wood. This is 1989. You can look at it in the glass. This is from a refill cask. I mean, you look at it, and it's a very dark, dark whiskey. But this is from a second use cask. At Glenfarclas, if you speak to my father, you speak to myself, these are the types of casks that we prefer. Second fill Oloroso sherry casks, in my opinion, and in his opinion, are the best casks available. Yes, people think, you know, the really, really dark stuff's fantastic. It's not.
Yes.
I mean, whiskey that's really, really dark, first fill sherry casks, is like whiskey with blinkers on. All it is sherry power, sherry power, sherry power. There's nothing else coming through on it. Use a cask for a second time, you know, the blinkers are starting to come off. You're starting to get more of the fruits coming through on it. You're starting to get more of the vanillas coming through onto it. You're starting to get more of the depth coming through onto it. You're starting to really feel the flavours and development of the spirit that actually went into the cask, and also the flavours of the cask starting to come through it. And it really does start to develop. So for the most part at Glenfarclas, first fill sherry casks we will actually get and dump as quick as possible. We will try to empty them at the earliest opportunity so we can fill them for a second time and then really mature the whiskey as we have in this particular bottle. This whiskey it's big, it's bold. Yes, you've got those big sherry flavours coming through on it. Yes, you've got the chocolate flavours coming through on it. But it's the depth of this particular whiskey. It just seems to go on and on and on. You do have those big, rich cherry, dark cherry flavours coming through on it. You've got the big sweetness coming through on it. You've got the fruitiness coming through on it. But you've got a little bit of the oak there present as well. You've got some of you've still got some of the raw natural spirit coming through on it. And what I love about these casks from 88 and 89 is the fact that they've got so much depth. When you do nose them and taste them, you suddenly think, wow, yes, they taste great now. But you could really imagine that they will develop even more in another 5 years, in another 10 years. Sometimes when you do nose and taste a whiskey, you think, yeah, okay, it's done, it's past it. You know, they've missed the mark on that one. With these particular casks, there's so much more that it's still got to give.
Great one. Lingers on and on and on. This one is really nice.
Makes Glenfarclas great dinner. First.
I can't believe I keep coming back here. I don't drink gin anymore. Gin makes me sad. But what we've always tried to do at Glenfarclas, and we will always try to do in the future at Glenfarclas, is make sure consistency. You know, you bought a whiskey bottle of Glenfarclas 20, 30 years ago, you buy a bottle today, you buy a bottle in 20, 30 years time. I want you to know when you open it, drink it, that you know it's Glenfarclas. I mean, there's so many brands out there at the moment that you buy a bottle and you go, oh yeah, that could be that, but it could also be that, or it could also be that. At Glenfarclas, yes, we're tasting 7 different Glenfarclas whiskies this evening that all taste very, very different, but the core value of every single one of them, you know that it's Glenfarclas there. Some of these other whiskies, they chop and change things so quickly, so many times, that you don't actually always know from where the whiskies actually come from. Glenfarclas for the future. What's going to happen?
Do you plan expansion?
I would say we are expanding at the moment. I mean, we've just built 4 new warehouses that got signed off last week. We built 4 new warehouses 3 years ago. We have plans at the moment to build another 6 warehouses. But we also realise we don't want to be Macallan. We don't want to be Glenmorangie. You know, these distilleries 15 years ago, both of them were family-owned distilleries. And they grew so quickly. The fact that they couldn't survive being what they were unless they got a massive influx of outside investment. And they really did lose their core, they lost their value, and they lost what they actually stood for. At Glenfarclas, I'm sure you've all seen this before, sometimes we do. We will take an age statement off the market. We took a few off last year, or 2 years ago. If we can't put an age statement on a bottle, then fine, we won't try and sell you something else. We will take it off the market, we'll wait until we've got some more stock to be able to sell you to you again.
Right.
I firmly believe that the consumer, you, aren't entirely stupid. Obviously there's some people from Sweden that obviously are. Luckily he's talking to somebody else who's not listening to him. But it's if I want to charge you, I should look at prices now. If I want to charge you 50 euros, 100 euros, 200 euros, 1,000 euros for a bottle of whiskey, I firmly believe that you should actually know what is actually in the bottle. I mean, does anybody work for Macallan?
No.
Macallan, I love old Macallan. I really love old Macallan.
The old.
The old Macallan. My family made an awful lot of money from Macallan. We had shares in Macallan. We did very, very well from Macallan. But Macallan, I mean, honestly, seriously, what the hell were they thinking? Okay, we don't have any aged whiskey anymore. So some bloke from marketing obviously went to a strip club, met 4 strippers called Ruby, Sienna, Gold, and whatever else, and they renamed their bottles of whiskey after 4 strippers. And you're just like, what the hell are you thinking? And because we've now done this, we'll put the price up by 50% as well. You're not stupid. I mean, you're not stupid. What are you buying? You have no idea what you're actually buying anymore. You look at the other big brands, you can go and buy, now I'm going to put my foot into it, you can go buy Storm, you can go and buy whatever names Glenmorangie come up with, you can go and buy, there's so many, all these different names of whiskies that keep coming out. What the hell is it? You just really don't know. But the prices just keep going up and up and up and up and up. hopefully you all see, yes, Glenfarclas prices have gone up. Things have increased for us an awful lot. Also, apologies, some idiots in the UK decided that we're going to leave Europe. So obviously that's changed the prices for us an awful lot as well. But at the end of the day, I want to be able to sell you a bottle of whiskey. I want to sell you a bottle of my whiskey. But I also want you to be able to buy it, open it and drink it. Quite often now you go and buy a bottle of whiskey and you're going to buy it and look at it and go, you know what, I really can't afford to open that bottle anymore. At the end of the day, whiskey is for drinking, whiskey is for consuming, whiskey is for having fun. And yes, you do have some idiots out there that have these massive whiskey collections. And when you meet people like that, like Manfred, you do the only sensible thing possible. You become very, very good friends with his children, and then obviously... the thing about whiskey is, as we were saying earlier, it's fun. It is fun. And I had the fun taken out of me earlier this year with whiskey. I like buying whiskey. I really do like drinking whiskey. I like buying different things. And I bought a bottle of 25-year-old Pappy Van Winkle that came out. It was a very special edition bottle of bourbon. And I paid $1,600 for this bottle of whiskey. It was an awful lot of money for a bottle of whiskey, but I'd never drunk a bourbon of this age. I do like Van Winkle bourbon. And I was like, you know what? I really want to buy this and taste it and see what it actually is like. Within 90 seconds of me getting this bottle of whiskey, I got a phone call saying, oh, I hear you have a bottle of 25-year-old Van Winkle. Yeah. And the guy offered me $11,000 for the same bottle of whiskey. And I didn't sell it to him. I still have said bottle of whiskey at home, but now I keep looking at it going,
I can't drink this bottle. It's a mistake.
But it's completely taken the fun out of for me. You know, because hopefully at some point I will open it and drink it, but I think about it now too much. Because you look at it going, right, okay, before, yes, it was an awful lot of money, but I would enjoy drinking it with some friends or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now you look at it and going, okay, so I can pay my kids' school fees for 3 years with that one bottle of whiskey. You know, you suddenly start evaluating things differently. And I think that isn't fun. Ready for the next whiskey?
Yep.
Yes.
Any questions at the moment? I'll take 12,000 for the bottle of Van Winkle.
What do you think about the plans to reopen Port Ale?
It's not a real.
So, Port Ellen closed because they made shit. Port Ellen whiskey was shit. It was utter
I'm wrong again.
shit. No, it was shit. That's why they closed it. Yes, as the whiskey matured, got older and older and older, it got better. It's still shit.
No,
Better shit.
But okay, they're now going to reopen this distillery in Port Ellen. What's it got to do with Port Ellen apart from the name? Nothing.
Nothing at all.
It's the same with New Macallan. What's the New Macallan distillery got to do with Macallan? Nothing. There's not one thing from the original distillery that they've actually moved to the new distillery.
It's a money-making machine.
Diageo is a money-making machine. And I'm very grateful that I have 500,000 shares in Diageo. But it's good on them. I mean, yes, I firmly believe that there should be new distilleries, more distilleries opened up and stuff. The fact that there's a hardcore group of people that really do enjoy buying, collecting, selling old bottles of Port Ellen, but now all of a sudden they're going to reopen Port Ellen. It's going to completely devalue anybody's collection that they probably have,
Yes.
and the whiskey is not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. I mean, today Diageo and ourselves, to be fair, Diageo and ourselves, you know, we are looking for the best malt, the best quality, to make sure we're getting the highest yields coming from the barley to make sure we get the best yield per ton of barley. For Ellen, when it was being made, they were getting about 270 litres of alcohol per ton of barley. Today I'm looking for about 420 litres per ton. Are they going to redo it the same way as they did it before? Are they going to be looking at, are they going to have that longer fermentation times? Are they going to have that more crappy barley that they used to use 50 years ago? No, they're going to be supplementing it with everything that's new, and the product they're going to be producing will have absolutely nothing to do with the whiskey that was made originally.
Absolutely right.
And I can't say that we're exactly entirely not in the same foot. But yes, I mean, every time we change anything at Glenfarclas, every time we change anything, be it we change our gas supplier, be it we change our yeast supplier, be it we change our new still, we always run the old system versus the new system for at least a month, regardless what it is. And if it doesn't, if the product we're getting isn't exactly 100% the same, or within like 5% variance, then we won't change it. The perfect example is the fact that we're still direct fire heated. Back in 1981, we changed one of our stills to external heating, which is what 95% of the industry now uses. But we ran the system side by side for 3 months. And the spirit that we got off of the stills using the external heating versus the one still that we did using internal, the flavour was completely different. Completely different. We would have saved about 11 to 12 million pounds by now if we'd switched to internal heating. But if we had switched to internal heating, you wouldn't be drinking Glenfarclas anymore. You'd be drinking something completely different. And I think that's the difference about being a family-owned company and a multinational company. I want you to drink the same whiskey that my great-grandfather made, and I want my children's children's children to be drinking the same whiskey that we're making today. All good?
Number 5.
Are we on to number 5 now?
Now we are in heaven again.
Do you have somewhere else to go? Have you paid your membership now? You know,
we might have the same name, but that's it. Well, a nationality, unfortunately.
Number 5. What is number 5? Awesome. You're gonna look. Oh, Jesus Christ! That's really this one. This is food. So they used to have a bottle of this. The next whiskey you're gonna have is mine. This is my whiskey. 100% my part. Don't touch it. It's mine. This particular whiskey is from 1976. I was born in 1976. This whiskey is 40 years old. I launched this whiskey on my 40th birthday. That is the day that I made this whiskey available for sale. So, in the whiskey industry, you believe in long-term planning. I realized when I was 35.5 years old, I wanted to do a 40-year-old 1976 bottling for my birthday. But I realized I can't just do a bottling just for my birthday, because it might upset other members of the family, blah 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 blah. So it took me a 4-year project that I started selling different family edition releases. So the first, number 1, this is number 6. Those of you that can't read Roman numerals, VI is 6. And in German it's the best name ever. It's sex. Number Number 6. Number 1 was our Fido cask. Number 2 was our 50-year-old. Number 3 was 1956. Number 4 was 1981. Number 5 was 1986. And number 6 was me.
What's the price of this bottle?
You can't afford it. Yeah. Those fake Swedish krona that don't work anymore, just keep them. This particular bottle, it's 40 years old, from 1976. It is remarkably cheap. It is special price today of 1,300. Is that it? 1,350. Far too cheap. It's 2,700 euros a bottle. There's a typo mistake on the sheet. So I wanted to launch this whiskey. I have no more 1976 left in the warehouse at Glenfarclas. There is no more 1976 available. There will be no more 1976 family casks. I used all the 1976 casks that I had to do this particular bottling for my birthday. And there is a really nice picture of me on the front of it, so it's worth even more. Tasting of this whiskey, nosing of this whiskey. It's 40 years old. 40 years old. Can you all start thinking about that? What were you all doing 40 years ago?
Swinging. Not a lot. I was just losing my virginity.
40 years ago, I was a year and a half old. 40 years ago, he was just getting out of prison. Just released. 40 years. It's a really, really long time ago. You think about the history of what's happened in Germany in the last 40 years. You look at the history of what's happened in the world in the last 40 years. I can't just make more whiskey like this today. I had to have made this 40 years ago to be able to drink it today. That's the sort of thing you have to think about. It really has taken 3 generations of my family to bring you this whiskey. Back in 1976, my grandfather was still very much involved at Glenfarclas Distillery. My grandfather made it, my father sat on it, and I get to sell it and drink it with you nice people. You're all now totally absorbed in the price list, aren't you?
Yeah. No, I'm thinking about when did the computerization of Glenfarclas take place? When did you change? When did you go from the, say, 270 liters per ton, 270 liters of alcohol up to 430?
That was nothing to do with computerization. That was something to do with the malters. That was
malting and the yeast. But when did it change it? I mean, in 70s.
It changes every year. I mean, every 12 years we basically change our yeast strain. Every 12 years you get a better yeast strain. So currently we're using what, Concerto. Prior to that we used Chariot. Prior to that we used Optic. Prior to that we used Golden Promise. But every year you do see every 12 years you see a jump. Yeah. In the yield quality that's coming through.
But when did you get to the point where you started to, have it optimized, the production, the production itself? When did the Monday examples disappear?
So what year are we in now?
Sorry?
What year are we in now?
2017.
So I will say we'll maybe get automated by 2100.
Really?
Nothing in our distillery is automated.
So you are the same number of people working now as you were 40 years ago?
Probably more.
Yeah. In the production, not in the distribution.
In production, yeah. I mean, that's never really changed. We have 3 matchmen, 3 stillmen. We have 2 guys on standby, which is what it's always been. We work 24 hours a day. They work 8-hour shifts. That hasn't changed. We've got more warehouse staff than we've ever had before. Yeah. And we probably have an extra 4 floating staff as well to do various other different jobs around the distillery. You have a bio plant to run. So yeah, in that aspect, no, we've not changed. I mean, if you come visit Glenfarclas, yeah, you will see a computer sitting in the mash house. But it doesn't, I mean, all this is a screen. You can't actually change anything from the screen. You still have to go turn a handle. You still have to go turn a valve to actually stop something or start something. You cannot control Glenfarclas from a computer there or anywhere else in the world. Okay. Cavalan, I'm sure I can phone somebody right now and get access to the Cavalan computing system.
Yes.
You know, all these modern day distilleries.
We don't have to go all that far.
Yeah. You like it?
Ja, det håller jag med om. Det smakar bättre. Har du flickor också? Jag tror jag ska ha det.
Was anybody else here born in 1976?
No, that's the year we lost our virginity, some of us.
So you met my mother then? So as I said, this particular whiskey I did purely out of vanity for me, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's something really, really special, and I really enjoy drinking it far too much.
Drink it every day.
No. Bizarrely enough, I don't actually drink very much whiskey. In Asia, when I'm in Asia, I drink far too much whiskey. So I was there for 8 days, and I reckon I drank 18 litres of 105 in the 7 days I was there. On top of that, I probably drank a case of beer and possibly 2 or 3 litres of vodka a day as well. So then when I come home, I generally do not drink whiskey.
You look great.
After all.
I feel great. I feel awesome. But I don't sleep when I go there. I don't sleep at all. I don't eat any of the food. I swear to God, some of it's still moving and they try and feed it to you. And it's really hard work. It's really, really hard work to try and function on the level that people expect you to function on, and still be able to hold a conversation or have a business meeting, but the fact that the people you're dealing with or speaking to just want to get you really, really drunk. Here's an interesting point though. Here's an interesting point. So I'm going to pick 5 of you at random, and you're going to tell me just basically what do you do? Okay. What's your job?
Firefighter.
Firefighter. Great.
Taxman.
Boo.
Boo.
Me?
Yeah.
Mechanical engineer.
In front.
Corrugated paper worker.
Gentleman in the back.
Hey. Me?
No, the interesting one behind you.
I sell fish.
So here's an interesting question for you. Here's an interesting thing you've got to think about.
How much is the fish?
I go to meetings all the time. I meet my distributors. I meet my friends, retailers. I meet so many different people around the world every single day. And this only came to me about 18 months ago. 18 months ago. So you all go to meetings, you know, be a firefighter, be a taxman. You still have to go to sit and meet your boss, you have to get training, you have to get new understanding of what's actually happening in your life, and so on. 18 months ago, I had a revelation. A complete and utter revelation. I'm 41 years old. 41 years old. I've never been to a meeting in my entire life, be it at 8 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, where there is not alcohol on the table. You all go to meetings and there's no booze. That's a real thing. How does that work?
Not very good. Extremely poorly.
I'd never ever thought about this before. Because every time I go and meet anybody, there's either a bottle of whiskey, or there'll be a bottle of sake, or there'll be a bottle of wine, there'll be beer. There's always booze. As if it's 8 o'clock in the morning, there's always booze. Booze is just part of every single meeting that I go to. But normal people, that's you, have meetings where there's no alcohol. And you see that as normal. I'm so glad I don't work in that industry. Yeah, it's exactly the same.
It's hard to get to compromises without alcohol.
You just joined the company 18 months ago, earlier this year. I mean, be thankful in the knowledge that for the next 40 years, you will have meetings at any given time, but there will always be alcohol. There will always be alcohol. These people don't get this. I feel very sorry for you. How did you enjoy the 76? So you may have noticed I did not tell you what it smelled like. I did not tell you what it tasted like. I think when you get to whiskey of this age, whatever I tell you really doesn't matter at all. You need to know if you like this whiskey. You need to know the flavors that are coming through on this whiskey. I can tell you what I smell, what I taste. I mean, I swear to God, I'm really, especially for this whiskey, I'm so biased for this whiskey that I shouldn't be telling you what I think about this particular dram. But you need to know this, taste this, enjoy the flavors that's coming through on it. You're not all novices in this particular whiskey game. You know what a whiskey tastes like. You know the flavors that are coming through on it. And you need to appreciate the flavors yourself. So before we move on to the last whiskey, do we have any questions?
Is it number 6 now?
You have to start.
We'll do number 8.
No, I just thought I would go before the fishmonger.
For one of the last family companies, you must be under suspicion and under supervising from other big companies to get you to have something overtaken.
So of course, yeah, we do get offers every now and again. I did get an offer 6 weeks ago. I reckon about once every 10 years we get a really interesting offer. And we got one of them about 6 weeks ago. I mean, and it wasn't even a thought. It wasn't even a blink of an eye. It was just no. Yes, I mean the money was obscene.
Do you look on the conditions? Do you recognize it? Do you think about something?
Oh yeah, I think about it all the time. But you have to realise, I mean, I'm 41 years old. I've never paid for a drink in my life. Exactly. That's the way I look at it. So wait, so if I sell the company, that means I have to pay my own bar bill. Yeah, that's not going to work. No, I mean, yes. Okay, we're 6 generations in.
Yep.
And people often will say to you, you're very, very rich. And you have to say to people, you know what? I'm not. I'm really, really, really not. Yes, I could be obscenely rich if I sold the company. But we don't. I mean, you can see it for yourselves. Yes, we make money from selling bottles of whiskey, but we completely reinvest it back into the distillery. We buy more sherry casks, we build more warehouses, we build more buildings at the distillery. You know, I mean, I really do look at it. I mean, yes, I mean, I'm a custodian of Glenfarclas. I'm looking after it for the next generation. Yes, I could sell the distillery. I swear to God, if you gave me like 45 seconds, I reckon I could sell. 45 seconds, I could sell Glenfarclas. But why would I sell Glenfarclas? I mean, do I enjoy my job? Do you think I enjoy what I'm doing? I really do enjoy my job. I mean, I could be Mr. Gordon from Glenfiddich sitting on his private yacht and never going to speak to anybody. But I enjoy this. I really do enjoy this. I enjoy coming out, speaking to people, talking to people, knowing people.
Also to Swedish people.
That's why I don't go to Sweden, but they come to Germany to find me. That's why Facebook's getting deleted. No, I mean things like that is fantastic. I mean, I really do genuinely enjoy what I do. I want my children to have the same life and understanding that I've had. And I think, you know, the 5 previous generations, my father included, have worked so hard for the business that we have today. What gives me the right, or what gives them the right to sell the company? Do we have a good life from doing what we do? Yes. Do we have everything we possibly want? No. You know, can I afford to buy a car that I want to buy? Yes. Can I afford to buy a yacht? No. The difference is, yes, I could sell the company tomorrow and I could buy 100 yachts. But that is not what I believe in. I firmly believe in what we are doing and the passion that we have and the belief that we have in Glenfarclas and the brand that we have and the relationships that we have with people like Manfred, who's also, you know, family company. And family companies really do understand family companies. Yeah. You know, you're not in this for the money. You're really not in this for the money. I remember speaking to my father 15 years ago. He said, "Okay, do you want to sell?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Okay, good. Do you want to? What do you think we should do?" And I said, "I think we should carry on doing exactly what we're doing, but, you know, increasing." And my father said to me at that point, he said, "Fantastic." He'd obviously thought about it before, you know, 20 years before, whatever. And he said, if we were to sell it, we shouldn't sell it. I was like, okay, what should we do? And he said, we should just shut the distillery. We would just literally stop producing whiskey. If you can imagine, okay, my gas bill for running Glenfarclas distillery is about £2.8 million a year. I'm buying 4,000 casks, 4,000 first of all sherry casks at $1,000 each every single year. I employ 35 people. You know, the money sort of adds up. He said we should just shut the distillery. There's 60 years worth of stock there, and you could just sell it over 60 years, and you'd make a huge amount of money. And then it would have done 2 things. Yes, you would have seen me out. Seen him out, me out, children out, and there would still be money left over, but also it would have completely killed the brand. Because I think when there's not a grant in charge of Glenfarclas, you're not going to have Glenfarclas.
I think the next generation, the daughters,
teach them well.
I think my daughters get it. I mean, they totally get it. I mean, we all live. I mean, I was brought up on site at Glenfarclas. They live on site at Glenfarclas. They know how much work that I do. They see how much I'm away. I mean, it's a huge sacrifice. As I said, I mean, I travel. I do this for 8 months a year. 8 months a year, I'm away from home. I'm not with my family. I'm not with my kids, and it's tough. It's really tough. But they see the sacrifices that you have to make to give them the life that I'm having, and so on. Gotta go very sad, didn't it?
What a big question.
But it's but I mean, but it's exactly true. I mean, it's like there's yes, we get offers all the time to buy the company.
Yeah.
Why would you sell it? Honestly, why would you sell
Never. Never do that.
it? And hopefully we never will. I mean, hopefully we never will. And as I said, I have far too much fun. Far too much fun. I get away with a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, if I become responsible, like, you know, having a trust fund and, like, you know, giving money to charity and stuff, that would just seem really, really boring. So this is far more fun. Are you ready for the last whiskey?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you do me a favour? Because there's the blonde girl behind the bar. The blonde one. Can you tell her that I would like the same again? For the guy that doesn't speak German, the blonde, it's going to be the blonde. The other, no, she doesn't. The other two didn't do it right. The family casts have been an amazing success. As I said, they have been incredible. I will give you a heads up here. Heads up. Manfred, this is a heads up for you as well. Family casts are going to change as of 1st of January. There will be no more old family casks. Family casts will only be redone from 1977. Any years prior to that, yes, we still have stock of, but once they run out, they will not be replaced. Okay? We do not have every single year available to us anymore for the older family casks. I do not have any 55, 57, 68, 75, 76, 84. There's gaps starting to come through in the particular inventory. And also, luckily for me, unluckily for you, there's some really, really stupid rich people out there that are happy to buy these casks as one go. So last week when I was in Asia, I sold a cask of 1953 Glenfarclas for £3.5 million. Do you want to know what they bought for £3.5 million? Basically, if you can imagine that I met my esteemed Swedish friend over here. Oh no, you, definitely. You know when you meet somebody and you go, yeah, I really don't like you very much. I'm joking. But you know when you meet with this person in Asia I met, and I really didn't like them. I really didn't like them. And he wanted to, I knew he wanted to buy this cask of whiskey. So in my head, I said, okay, I don't like you very much, so I doubled the price in my head. And then he kept talking, and I was like, Jesus, you're just such a dick. So I added another 50% to the price. And at that point, he should have stopped talking. He should have stopped talking. But no, he just kept talking. Well, okay, that's it. There's another 50% onto the price. And then I said to him, he said, okay, this is what I'm going to buy. And I was like, okay, fine, it's £3.5 million. And he went, okay. I was so upset. So upset. Is this the sort of business I want to continue doing? No. But I do see it as an integral part of something we do need to do. Family casks, I think it's had a very, very good run. We will continue to do family casks. But obviously, as I said, they will be running from 77 onwards, just purely and simply because we have much more stock available. The older vintages we have are so depleted that it doesn't make sense for us to be able to continue doing older family casks. Most of the older family casks we do have some stock of. There's not a huge amount of it, but as I said, there will be. Everyone else in the world will be told this on the 1st of January. So.
Are you considering doing more single casks of these old ones?
Yes. I generally do about 450 single casks a year. And it's generally to private individuals. I mean, they never see the light of day. They never go on a retail shelf. They never appear anywhere. They're just purely and simply for people.
Yeah.
And now we can drink.
So we're on whiskey number 3. Did you know what a pet? What's the pour? Right mixture. Yeah. Look at this meal. Bugger, they don't remember. You're taking priorities. So the final whiskey on this particular tasting, I'm sure it's not the final whiskey of the night. I'm positive it's not the final whiskey of the night. There's one mistake that I have noticed. There's a huge glaring mistake on this particular sheet of paper.
You put a price on it.
It says not for sale.
Everything is for sale.
Everything is for sale.
You just can't afford it.
The nice thing about this whiskey, this 1965, there's a lot of nice things about this whiskey. The nicest thing for me is the fact it's in a cask sample bottle. The whiskey you are tasting right here, right now, nobody else will ever taste. Have you ever thought about that? This is a cask sample bottle. Okay, this was drawn on the 3rd of October. So almost 2 months ago. No, put your hands down. 2 months ago, the sample was taken. I could go and take another sample of this cask today, and it will taste different to what you're actually tasting today. That's what you have to remember. The sample that you're tasting right now, nobody else will ever taste. We took a litre sample of this particular bottling, and it's all we poured out, and you're drinking it right now. That's really special. Really think about that. Yes, I can bottle this up in 2 years' time, 3 years' time, and you'll say, oh, I tasted that. If you tasted it at that particular moment, snapshot in time, when it's still sitting in the cask, when it's still maturing, the flavour is still going to be changing, it's still going to be maturing, it's still going to keep changing. 1965. How many of you were born in 1965?
Older.
2, 3, and you're all Swedes?
Good year.
There's a bloody conspiracy going on here, isn't it? Look, open them all, nose them, taste them. Right, this is the order we're going to bottle them in. So the first one we bottled like 110 bottles. The second one, I only got 55 bottles. Went to get the third cask, which should have been about 210 bottles from the cask. 210 bottles. My distillery manager came in with their head warehouseman, Tommy, who was crying. I mean, the man's 50, by the time he was like 55 years old, he was physically crying. And I'm like, what's wrong? And I said, George, I'm really, really sorry. You need to come and look at this. So I went out to the warehouse and I saw the third 1952 that we're about to bottle, and the cask had literally collapsed. Because this cask hadn't been opened at the time for 55 years. I'd taken the bung out the cask, and all I'd done by taking, you know when you open up a brand new bottle of whiskey, you get that little noise coming from it, a little bit release of pressure. With a cask that hasn't been opened in 55 years, you get exactly the same thing. These casks are held together by pressure. Originally they're held together by the liquid that's actually in them, but over a period of time it's the air that's actually holding the cask together. I'd taken the bung out of the cask, released all the pressure that was actually holding this cask together, and the whole cask, after a couple of months, just collapsed. So that is my biggest mistake. So 210 bottles of whiskey at current price of £10,000 a bottle. It's quite a lot of money.
Good work, good work.
I've never told my dad this story.
Good thing you have the Taiwanese.
I'd like to thank you all very much for coming along to this tasting, this presentation tonight. It's been a really, really good night. Thank you to Manfred, thank you to his family for a great night. I will be here for many, many hours to come. And I'm always open to bribery. You can happily buy me a drink at the bar. If you would like to buy any bottles of Glenfarclas, I will happily devalue them for you and I will sign them for you. I've been reliably informed that every bottle of Glenfarclas I've ever signed has reduced the price by 50%. But if you would like me to sign a bottle for you, I'd be more than delighted to. But thank you again for coming along for a fantastic night. Thank you.
Say thank you to you, George, to come again here to Itzehoe, to let us be part of your family business, and that you mentioned a lot of times that we have a special thinking on different labels, but family-run business is a very special thing. And thank you for the great whiskies. Thank you for bringing the last whiskey, the sample, to us, 1965. I was 2 years old. It's really amazing whiskies, drinking whiskey from those times. Thank you, our audience, to being here, sharing this evening with us. Yes, stay with us, to use the chance to drink some whiskies. And my thank you, only a little present today because it's heavy to transport beer. You like German beer, I know, to transport it home. Maybe for you, for the back flight, or for your children and your wife, some sweets from the region.
Thank you.
And also some sweets for you, Peter. Peter, I forgot to introduce you to the audience. Peter is the very good friend from Germany, and he is the guy from the German import company. Peter, also for you, for your way back home to Bremen tomorrow. Last but not least, a big thanks to Yannick, to Alex, and to the rest of the company, the family. There's a lot of work around such a tasting, and thanks a lot making this happen this evening. Enjoy the rest of the evening, a good Christmas time beginning next week, and all the best for you, and I think we will see us soon in our shops. We have, for the German, or also for the Swedes, the sheets with the informations, the next activities, the next tastings up to March from our shop. It's also printed down, and yes, enjoy the rest of the evening, have a good time. Great that you have took part in this fantastic tasting. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Which problem will make Brexit for Scottish whiskey?
Will it be good or bad?
Brexit. What influence will it have on your job?
Will you still drink Scottish whiskey?
Yeah.
Will I still buy German motor cars?
Yeah.
It won't make any fucking difference.
Yeah.
I really don't think it'll make any difference. I think it'll be the same as when you change from